Hello, hello, hello. Oh my gosh. Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to book club. I do have a bit of an announcement. I don't know why I was doing that accent. Hello. So, I accidentally went overboard on my recap and now we're at 252 slides and that's not even my whole book club presentation. Let's go. But honestly, I realized that I really wanted to do a recap because I felt like my first book club for Leadale, even though I liked it and it was good, I do think that there were some things I didn't depict well. So I wanted to do it better in this recap, and then it ended up getting a little over crazy because volume 4 of the manga is also my favorite volume. There's so much to talk about. So I think I'm gonna have to split book club into two parts. Gonna have to split it into part 1, which is today, and then I'm gonna have to do part 2. Either we're gonna do that Sunday, or I'm going to push it back and we'll do Sunday. We'll do it Sunday morning or Monday evening. We'll do a poll later just to see what you guys think at the end of book club, see what you guys might prefer. But I do ultimately think doing 2 is better. Also, apologies for like the weirdness of the mouth movements for my model. I don't really know why. Today, like, I couldn't get it to calibrate properly, so it's just bunny teeth. Bunny teeth all day. Oh gosh, for a second I was worried I was muted. Alright, let's start with a recap. Now, I have learned that every light novel volume actually has a recap, which is really good, and it actually helped me a lot with kind of like focusing on the main points, because when I do my own recap, I focus on the parts I like, which isn't wrong. I mean, everyone's recap is unique, but it is nice to see like the main points summary, and it's interesting to see what the author does and doesn't cover. I'll read through it and then you'll probably see what I mean. Hold on, let me just make sure I navigate. Okay. Can I? Nope. Okay. So by the way, I'm going to be reading directly from the book summary for the recap because mine turned out to be too long and I did illustrate it, so it should still look nice. After a terrible accident, Keina Kagami was only able to live off a machine. With so much free time on her hands, she started playing the VRM MMORPG, Leadale, and quickly became addicted to the joy and physical freedom it gave her, along with Ki, the AI assistant her uncle created for her. Keina made a name for herself as a Leadale powerhouse. In the world of the game, she was a member of the rare I got my timing wrong. This is the summary of Leadale. I'm not going to go too much into it because if you guys are interested, definitely read the book yourselves. I believe it is available in some libraries. Where was I? In the world of the game, she was a member of the rare high elf race and a skill master who had obtained every possible skill. One day, as her uncle and cousin's care for her weighed particularly heavily on her mind, a power outage shut down the equipment that was keeping Keina alive, and she soon perished. Or so one might think. For reasons unknown, she awoke in an unfamiliar wooden room in the body of her game avatar. Naturally, Keina couldn't hide her confusion at suddenly becoming Keina, her Leadale character. Here she met the plucky yet motherly inn-proprietress Mirelle and her cheerfully helpful daughter Lit. After talking with the two, Keina realized she was in one of the towns of Leadale's former White Kingdom. She was surprised to learn that there were now 3 kingdoms as opposed to the 7, and that this town was nothing like it had been in the game. Instead, it had been nothing more than a poor, remote farming village. She decided to stay there for a while and use this time to improve the local water supply, take down some bears, build a public bath, and then take down even more bears. Now here's where I think it's interesting that the author neglects is that Keina as a skill master has something called a tower. As you can see, I'm depicting it here. Now, what's really important about these towers is it's an important part of the game because, without giving a brief summary, skill masters are players who've mastered every single skill, then they obtain a skill called Skill Quest. Craft skill? I have to double check what the official name is called. But basically, It allows skill masters to take skills, turn them into scrolls so that other players can learn them. Because in order to learn skills in Leadale, there are either procedures you have to go through, quests you have to do, and things like that. So it naturally became appealing to a lot of players, to the point they harassed a lot of the skill masters. So the devs decided to make this skill tower so that in order for the players to get skills from skill masters, they have to complete the tower requirements. Now keep in mind, at this point, the skill masters are furious because they've already had one skill master quit due to harassment. So the rest of them were pretty bloodthirsty when they made their towers. Kana's tower is pretty unique in that she thinks, and I'm inclined to believe her, based on what we've been reading in the book so far, the easiest quest, which is you basically have to climb her tower for 24 hours. No stopping, no magic, no nothing. If you stop, if you try to cheat, if you try to use any ability or skill, you're automatically booted out. Now, this is the top of Kana's tower. This in particular is her tower guardian. Every tower has a guardian because the towers can actually kind of run independent. They do need mana from the skill masters, but each tower master essentially can keep track of things for the skill master, like who came to the tower. And they do have to enter the tower, by the way. They can't sense the area. Or maybe they can. It's still kind of like not very clear. We don't have a lot of details yet. Maybe we'll find out more when we read more. But each tower master is basically just managing the tower. So once there is someone who has finished a quest, they'll notify the skill master who can instantly teleport to their tower. There is some things that are, how do I say this? It's not all guaranteed, I would say. Or no, not all. What is it called? There are some negatives. There are... Although teleport is very overpowered, it does do things like leave a very bright flash. There's a surge of mana and things like that. And they do describe it. That's why Kana doesn't use teleport to get to her tower right away. She goes the normal way because she doesn't want to overwhelm her innkeeper and the townsfolk. Because clearly after... By the way, this is set 200 years after the game. Kana learns that magic is no longer as commonplace, and she doesn't want to overwhelm or scare anyone. Anyways, I think it's really interesting the author didn't cover this because I think it's pretty important. They do cover it in the 3rd volume recap for the 2nd volume, which I think is interesting. But this is the thing about writing, is that we are human and sometimes we can change our mind. And by the way, her tower guardian has a bit of a personality. He used to apparently talk like a normal NPC, and now he has a bit of attitude after, being abandoned for 200 years, although he is still kind of functioning. So this is the remote town. They do mention that it is a remote town. They don't even have a name, which is fairly unfortunate. And Kana is so touched by the care and everyone that she met in this town that it's kind of her first chance to slow down and think about what she wants for herself. By the way, the bear was in fact the bear that she defeated. Kana does a lot of really cool things like the well, build a public bath. And I know they said she improved the local water supply, but what she did specifically was make a well. And you see that well, it makes it so that whether you're old or young, you can turn it and it will be really easy for them to collect water. So I think it's interesting that instead of a well, they said she just improved the local water supply, which I guess is true because the bathhouse also technically improved the town's local water supply because she does cast various spells. The spells include purification, water cleaning, and things like that. Preservation. She doesn't include cleaning, I think, in that one. It's just preservation spells. But the townsfolk are all devoted to cleaning it so that they can all partake. And Kana actually essentially... Oh, wait, is that spoilers? That is spoilers. Okay, on to the next recap part. Just as Kana was thinking about moving on to a bigger town, a raiding caravan of merchants came to the village. She used her superior magic skills to heal a badly wounded mercenary guard traveling with the caravan, and her extraordinary healing prowess caught the eyes of the mercenary captain. That is the exact face he has, by the way. The mercenary captain Arbiter and the head of the merchant caravan, Elena. Elena. I cannot remember how they pronounce it in the anime, so I'm just going to go with Elena. The caravan had plans to go to Fauskilo, a main distribution point for goods located in the center of the continent. Kana decided to accompany them, all while learning basic knowledge about this new world. During her travel, she reunites with her youngest son. Sorry, I forgot the timing. To the royal capital, which is Fauskilo. That's why it says here a main distribution point. They don't mention it as the capital, but it is the royal capital of this particular country. And I guess it technically is the central point of the continent. But again, it's just, language. See, the royal capital of Fauskilo, it mentions it. And this is just the map of the general geography. This was actually supposed to be more relevant, but I may or may not be able to get to it today, so we will see. Where was I? During her travels, she reunited with her younger son, Kartaz, who worked as a shipbuilder. Here's Kartaz. He is a dwarf, and he is actually part of a system called the foster system, and that's why Kana, who is a high elf, is able to have other kids. She does have high elf kids, but basically, the game set up a system where you could have multiple NPCs, and then what people used to do is they'd use them for item storage. I've never played an MMORPG, but apparently they did that until they all got their expanded bases and homes and towers, and then the devs offered to buy these buy these characters, I guess. No, they weren't NPCs. They were just characters. Buy these characters and turn them into NPCs. Kana's became, as you can see, head of the workshop, top class builder. There's a couple reasons for that. We might get into that later. But it is very overwhelming for Kana because she is 17 and she already has 3 kids. 3 grown adult kids. Now, this next part, I actually disagree with the author, and I double-checked both the light novel, the manga, and I think I even watched the anime. But it says, Kana then reunited with her daughter Mai Mai, headmistress of the Royal Academy, and was astonished to find she was already married. This rash of incidents led her to believe it might be the wrath of her terrible friend. Now, here's the thing. Kana does not meet up with Mai Mai at this point in the story. What Kana does is she tries to visit her elder son, Scargo, because she learns from the merchant caravan that her son became the high priest, and so he is at the church. He is the easiest to locate, so she heads there, gets denied because she doesn't want to say that she's his mother. The people are naturally like, you can't just meet the high priest just because you want to. And she's like, that's fine, I understand. And she just wanted to make sure that he was here. And after she confirmed he was there, she decided to move on. The next place that she knew one of her kids might be is, in fact, the shipbuilding, because her son is a carpenter. And that's when she bumped into Kartaz. They have a very cute reunion. And then Kartaz tells her that Mai Mai is the headmistress of the Royal Academy next to this, workshop. The thing is, Kartaz tells her, yeah, they might turn you away if you don't say who you are. And she's like, okay, then I won't go. Because she just wanted to make sure that they were, I guess, existing, that they were there and know where they were. But she wasn't going to, at this time, wasn't insistent on meeting them. She thinks it'd be nice if she could, but it's not like a priority. So she does not meet Mai Mai at this time. She does not actually confirm. She does not confirm anything about Mai Mai aside from the fact that she's headmistress and that she's here until later on. So I had to double check because this recap's supposed to be in order. Anyways, she discovered a guardian tower while taking on a quest from the Adventurers Guild and subsequently discovered that there were no longer any other Leadale game players left. The shock of which caused her to hole up in her room at Merrill's Inn. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I should have read ahead. Basically, the scene you see on screen is another quest she took. Okay, there it is. During her travels, she reunited with her younger son Kartaz, who worked as a shipbuilder, got caught up in the capture of a prince, and made connections to a marquise. So that scene you see on screen is the capturing the prince and the marquise, the knight that she met. So this is when she discovers a guardian tower. All skill masters have a special ring. It glows when they get near a guardian tower, a skill tower, and that's how they can confirm, because apparently nowadays people don't know, and I mean that by the people currently living on the continent don't know that these are guardian towers. They think that they were iconic symbols lost in time. Some of them. Her confirming, and interesting enough, when she's traveling this tower, the little prince follows her along. There's a whole thing. His character is very much age appropriate. He's just... Kena handles him way better than I would. So here she is confirming that the guardian tower is a tower, and she meets this tower's guardian, which is the 9th skill master. Now, the skill masters are in order by the rank that they, or the order that they achieve the title skill master. Kena is the 3rd. Now, this is Kyotaro. He's the 9th. This is Kyotaro. He's a dragonoid. Now, there are, as in this summary, there are different types of races. Kena's high elf. There's human. There is demon, dragonoid, and I believe there's one more, which is dwarf. I think there's only 5. Don't think there are any beastmen in this world. Oh wait, there are. There are, but I don't think they were mentioned in that beginning summary. But you will probably see one later. Wait, maybe not in this stream. So as you can see, they have 12 skill masters. However, they originally had 13. One of them quit. Number 12 was the one who quit. So 13 to 12, and they mention here Leadale is going to end its service. Kena was pretty much forced to reckon with her mortality, that she was no longer in the real world, no longer exist in the real world, and potentially there are no more players here in Leodale's future. It was a great moment. I highly recommend, if you're interested in the story, to check out the manga, because the paneling, the perspective, the scenes they chose to emote, and the way they had some of the characters emote is amazing. Kena has some of the most expressive expressions I've seen from many main characters. She is both silly, but she has moments like this where you can feel the absolute shock she went through at that moment. The realization hit her. Like, A+. This manga author, this manga artist, the manga editor, like whoever's in charge of this adaptation, just one of the best adaptations I've seen of any light novel to a manga. Still Kena grappling, but the thing is, Kena also becomes the new master of the tower. Yeah, some of these scenes really hit you hard. Now, this is actually a scene from the first book club I did, where I talked about the prince. It's very annoying. So you see the little thing she's holding there? It's actually a symbol from the Marquise. She doesn't know this yet. Kena doesn't know she met a Marquise. He just told her, oh, it'll get you out of trouble. And she's like, wow, that sounds dangerous. And it worked. I really like the panel, I'll get you, because he seems like a little evil villain. He's actually just a spoiled brat of a prince who mouths off at Kena, even though everyone says she's dangerous. He's like, I'll expose you, and it's actually because the girl he has a crush on admires Kena, and I'm like, you're so... Like, I get it, he's a kid, but like, why doesn't he just learn from her? He's like, I will be your student, I will learn from you, and then the girl I like will like me too. But no. He's just like, you must be evil because you wouldn't let me do what I want. It's okay, he's a prince, he's spoiled. I have thoughts about that later. This is Kena holding up, and here's the thing. In the light novel, Kena goes back to Meryl's inn, and Meryl is the innkeeper that she met when she first woke up in the world. She finds a lot of comfort and a lot of security in that inn, and she actually goes back there because she is looking for something familiar in that moment. However, in the manga and the anime, what happens is they decide to change it. They had Kena hole herself up into an inn in the capital. Now, logistically, I understand because there are reasons for it, for progression. I understand why it made sense for them to switch it, but I do think that there was a little more meaning in the fact that Kena when she felt lost, when she felt hopeless, that she wanted to go back to Morel's inn. And that speaks a lot for how she feels about Morel and like that particular inn, that particular little town. And it's why she wants to help them, not only because they helped her, but like that's what I am going to give spoilers because we have to talk more as we go into volume 2. But you'll see so many moments where clearly it's a very important place to her. And that's why I just think it's not bad. It's just lost a little bit of that emotional value and that emotional connection because Kana, instead of going back to the remote village, and it doesn't have a name, it's just literally called remote village, instead of, just going back to any general inn. But anyways, however, her elder son, Scargo, now a powerful high priest, a title that must have been some sort of sick joke on the admin's part, which, by the way, is in brackets and is in the summary. It's not me. I didn't write that. And master of bizarre effect skills, this is also important, soon came calling. His incredibly impactful visit relieved Kana of her worries, leading her to have an honest conversation with her 3 children and forge new, brackets, for Kana at least, familiar bonds. Now, if you can see the little flowers in the background, those aren't shoujo flowers where, like, they're theoretical or, like, implied. Nah, this guy, Scargo, has a skill called Oscar. Oscar is a skill that visualizes your emotions, and it visualizes them in a way that it's visible to everyone. So he's literally walking around with VFX. And Kana doesn't know this, but I think it's really cute. And I think it's too spoilery if I mention it. Kana has multiple passive skills at all times. One of those passive skills is blinding charm or something. I have to look at the name later. But it is a little skill that every time she smiles, she naturally and will charm someone because of this passive skill. And I think that's why Scargo uses this skill. It's kind of like his way of emulating his mom. It's very cute. All her kids have something in common with her, not just because they're her kids, but it's just like, it's really cute to see them take on some of her traits. In this case, Scargo is a little too much for Kana at this time. Now, on screen in the left, the elf is Mai, her daughter, and Kartaz, her dwarf son. So they come and they know to remove the high priest because he's being a nuisance. But as you can see in the manga, they do draw this proprietress on the bottom left of the second panel. That is the capital in proprietress. And how you can tell is that Morel is a human, but in the capital, Kana is staying at a non-human inn. So it's for all non-humans. So includes, I guess, dwarves, elves, dragonoids, and things like that. And that's why I said you see a beastman. She is in fact a beastman. I think she's a cat beastman. But yeah, in the light novel, she goes back to Morel. Now afterwards, she does pick herself up and try again because Kana is strong. She's resilient. And she does end up talking to her kids. It's really sweet because at this point, she's having a heartfelt conversation with Kartaz. Mai, and Scargo are literally duking it out magic style. Like kids. They have a really great sibling relationship. But it's really sweet because at this point, Kana kind of accepts, like, this is my family, you know? Because I think at this point, it is still very early. She's only been in Leadale for, I would say, less than a month. And I don't think it really hit her yet that she's truly alone. Like, some part of her still had hope that she would bump into other people. She'd get answers. She'd figure out, like, maybe this is all a dream. But I think more and more she's kind of realizing, okay, this is my life now. This is who I am. And I'm going to do my best living it. And it's very, very cute. Like, Kartaz, I think, what he inherits from his mom is the fact that he's very clever. Kana is so smart, and it comes out in so many ways. My complaint with the anime is that they make it so Kana seems airheaded and not as clever as she is. Kana is so clever. Of course, everyone has their weaknesses, and Kana's weaknesses mainly in the manga in light novel, or that she lacks common sense because it's been 200 years. So she does not know a lot of what happened. That she doesn't understand like the impact the war has had, and not because she doesn't know what war can do to a country, but because she does not know that the economy has changed, magic is no longer commonplace, equipment, like, you know what I mean? There's so much that's changed, and that's where her weakness comes in. However, Kana in the light novel and manga has always shown that not only is she super quick when it comes to things like calculation, super sharp when it comes to things like intuition, even though sometimes she seems like she's very laid back when it comes to people, but it is also stems from her confidence in herself and her skills. She is a literal, like a rare character. She has a title called Limit Breaker because she's level 1100. She broke the limit of the level cap. She is OP, like literally OP. It is nuts. But yeah, that's my gripe with the anime. I don't like it. I don't like the way they depict Kana, because I don't mind if an adaptation is different. However, some decisions really show what the director thinks, because if you like this genre, but then you take the main character's strength and you take it away, then why didn't you just take a story with another character who had those traits? Like, that's what annoys me, because adaptations can be different. The manga is different in its expression of some of the characters and their emotions, and I don't mind that difference from the light novel, because I think it really enhances it. The anime just makes Kana seem like an airheaded ditz, and that makes me really mad. Anyways, so Kartaz and Kana have a really heartfelt moment in the anime. Kartaz gets really angry and kind of rude, and I don't like that either, because all her kids are really respectful of her. Yeah, they'll be like a little childish with her, but they're really respectful because she's their mom. Anyways, so this is in fact the moment right after when Kana finds out that Mai Mai and Scargo are fighting. She goes to the academy where they're fighting to put a stop to it. This is when she meets Lopez Harvey, who is Mai Mai's husband, when she finds out Mai Mai is married. So I don't know why the summary put it so much earlier. Anyways, this is also apparently Mai Mai's second husband, but Kana doesn't know that yet. Oh, a professor? He's also Mai Mai's husband. Oh, Mai Mai's husband. She's married? See? Now, what she does is she puts a stop to their fight. It's a really great scene. You should go watch it. It's a great couple pages. It basically involves brute force and also magic potion arts. Pretty much. That's how I'm going to try to get you guys to read it. But it's really, really sweet. I really love the way the manga artists draw so many of the expressions. They are so expressive, and it makes every panel so cute. I want to highlight every single one. It's why I ended up with 252 slides. She then meets up after, talking to her kids, and the talk is really heartfelt. If I used all the panels, it's like such a great progression of scenes and panels. I could not use all the panels. I hope you guys will read it. It's such a great moment, because one of the things I love about Kana's relationship and Kana's character is she always is willing to talk things out. Even though she gets initially upset, she will eventually go to talk things out, and she's not afraid to admit she's wrong. She does talk to her kids and reaffirms that she is here for them and they are here for her. It's such a sweet moment. It's also very mature, because heaven, gosh, no, people usually don't communicate, but Kana does. Kana is amazing that way. Damn you, anime director. I'm still so mad about that, because there's so many moments. Anyways, the anime deserved better. I will be talking. I like some of the moments in the anime, by the way. I'm just upset with some of the depictions of Kana's character, which didn't need to happen. I don't know why they made those choices. Maybe it's a difference in direction and preference, but I am simply expressing my opinion, and I will continue to express it whether it's this Sunday or Monday. She then met up with Elena, who asked her to serve as a guard on the caravan's journey to the northern nation of Helpschner, which was currently overrun with bandits. On the way there, it's literally called the remote village, see? Now, as you can see, there is Helpschner to the north, Felscalo to the central area, and Otoloquus. I still don't know how to pronounce it. It's okay. We'll figure it out when we watch the anime. Alright. Making sure I know where I am in the summary. Currently overrun by bandits. On the way there, they stop back at the inn town. Oh, it's called inn town in the light novel. Okay. I could have sworn it was called Remote Village. Maybe this is just a summary. Where Kana rescued a lost mermaid from an underground water vein and left her in the villager's care. It's really cute, and the mermaid actually gets her own bonus story. We get to know a little bit more about her in this volume. I didn't get a chance to depict it, but we will talk about it because it actually is very interesting. There are some great things I want to talk about in this volume. When the caravan arrived at the Helpschner border, Kana and her allies soundly defeated a group of bandits disguised as sentries. They did take over a fort. The whims of an unknown individual brought her to cross swords. Oh, so this is, by the way, Kana's very overpowered magic. If you're wondering if Kana is just overpowered, her kids are considered overpowered, and her kids are nowhere near as powerful as her. And there's actually, I really wanted to talk about it today, but I don't think we'll reach it because we're only on slide 67 and I have 200 to go. But later on, we'll get an idea of the power scaling in this world. Like, there is a reason that one of the things that Mai tells her kids, because I did mention she has kids, is that her grandmother could literally destroy a country. That is how Kana is perceived. We will talk more about that. But basically, her magic not only looks cool, it is in fact overpowered. And I won't show you what happened. You have to read the manga for that. Or, watch my first book club for the full battle scene. I think I showed it. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, you should read the manga if you're interested. Also read the light novel. Don't watch the anime. The whims of an unknown individual brought her to cross swords with Arbiter, but by reaffirming the extent of her own physical abilities, Kana managed to swiftly deal with the issue. Sadly hard to find the manga here. That's fair. I will say that find it in the ways that you are best able to consume it. However, keep in mind that what you can do is request your local libraries to bring it in. Libraries are willing to bring it in, and they do count as supporting the author if you can. It is just a suggestion. Hello, welcome in. Currently recapping and showing Kana's really cool action. Kana is not only, by the way, I know that people talk about being, I guess it's like the builds, where if you are very quick, you might be lower in defense. If you have, like your stats aren't really, if you're balanced stats, then you're not really good at anything, and that can be a weakness. But hello, yes, welcome in. Kana is unique in that because she is literally so over-leveled, it does not matter about her stat distribution, she's just overpowered. Arbiter is actually pretty strong. And this fight with Arbiter allows Kana to kind of understand how, I guess, the current group of people and their abilities in this world are. Hello, welcome in, everyone. Okay, however, the flickering shadow of a certain player deepened her suspicions. Now, this is what I was reading, by the way, is the actual recap written in the light novel. It does have some discrepancies I disagree with and have confirmed, but in general, it's a pretty good recap. But it's very interesting. As you can see, there was a hypnotic suggestion carried by the sound of wind. Magic in this world, by the way, is very odd. I say odd in that in my first book club, we talked about the variety of spells. Usually when you do spells, there's like a system. Now, the thing is, I only have one reference because the only thing I've watched with this kind of magical system would be Naruto. And I say that because jutsu. So in jutsu, you can learn different elemental jutsus. There are jutsus that require different hand signs. As you become more specialized, they either require concentration, more hand signs, or they require control. it's kind of straightforward in that sense. I guess it also can get a little messy just because I personally never tried to track jutsu as its system. However, you will see later on, and I will showcase a bunch of the spells. It's such a variety, and I think there is supposed to be a structure to it, but the author has not fully conveyed what that structure is yet. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, isn't it? Now, this person, this you see up in the top here, he is important. He will pop up again. Keep him in mind. Now we're finally getting into new content. This is volume 4, my favorite volume. Most of my 200 slides we will be going through, about like maybe 180 of the slides. A bunch of them will be just for volume 4. I actually could not finish the entire volume of this light novel in this PowerPoint today. I don't think I'll have the time because it will take me a while. I just love this volume. There's so much to talk about. So let's not delay and get right into it. First of all, Kana is in Hauptschner. I'm not reading a summary, by the way. This is just me. Previously, in Volume 1, her daughter Maimai had asked her to deliver a letter to her, and the letter for her. She doesn't tell Kana who it's for, she just tells Kana, hey, can you do this for me? What we find out is this letter is for Carrick of the Sakaya Guild. I should also mention that Hauptschner, I should have gone through this first. I didn't write down these notes, I should have. Hauptschner has a very like Japanese structure because, as they mentioned previously, there used to be multiple guilds in Leadale, and one of the guilds really like this kind of traditional vibe, and this place, Hauptschner, is where they had set up their base, so there will be a lot of traditional elements, and you can see a lot of the influence, and it's very funny to Kana because it's such a mishmash because it's done by players. It's not like actual society. It was just the players using their aesthetics or like whatever was available to them. But it becomes very funny because like basically this area has adopted this style. So anyways, Sakaya is a merchant house who basically made their debut when the 7 countries went to war. The 7 countries were previously colors, and in these colored kingdoms, there were different guilds, and Kana in particular, I believe, was from Black Country. Sakaya and Hauptschner are in formerly Purple Country, and Felskilo is formerly White Country. Now, there is red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I think there's orange. I'm not sure. Hold on. No, wait. Red, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, white. I think that's 7. But now there's only 3 countries. Oops. It just had the outline. So when they hand the letter at Sakaya, because Elena actually works with Sakaya, which is actually very impressive on Elena's part, because apparently they are big stuff. After the 7 countries went to war, Sakaya stepped in, not only had a good momentum, I would say. We won't comment on what they did, because we don't know what they did. They don't go into detail, but we just know Sakaya emerged after the war, and they made a name for themselves, and now they have tons of branches in multiple countries. They are very influential. Now, as you can see, this person said, I'll go tell father right away. His dad. Keep that in mind. Kana still has no idea, nor does Elena, who, by the way, is not a beast man. He is a kobold. Now, this is Carrick, the head of the Sakaya guild. And apparently, Kana's grandson. Hello, welcome in. Kana, at the ripe age of 17, already has a grandson and a great-grandson. Because remember that guy who said he'd call his dad? That is Carrick's son. So Kana here, going through all the motions of shock. See, I told you, she's super quick. Kana is very sharp. The first one with sparkles is Scargle, the middle is Mai Mai, and Kartaz is the third. This Carrick is Mai Mai's son. She didn't know. Mai Mai didn't tell her. And now she also has a great-grandson. He does have a name. I don't know if it's mentioned here. Hold on. Idzik. His son's name is Idzik. Idzik? Maybe it's Idzik. Kind of seems like the manga are in competition, which has the weird... No. I would like to say first and foremost, I will always defend Leadale because Leadale did it first. Leadale is the OG reincarnated into a game. It reincarnated into my OP character in a game. Leadale did it first. So if the other mangas have also taken suit, it was because of the inspiration impact that this probably had. I will always defend Leadale. I'm not saying, I will also say that I do love this genre though, so I don't mind that there are more. But I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's a lot of fun, and I love the themes in Leadale, which is why we're discussing it. Poor Kana though, I swear, the manga has some of the best expressions. Like, how do you explain this kind of feeling she has? She's confused, she's overwhelmed. Like, you can tell at an instant. That's how good these manga panels are. The whole being, it's complicated, but it's basically been 200 years, so it's not that crazy because it's been 200 years in the game. Anyways. Now, here's where there's a bit of trouble for Kana and Carrick. The person she now knows to be her grandson. He offers to help her. She gets upset. Now, as you can see, she's very upset. He's shocked because he has been told through multiple bedtime stories that his grandmother is a menace, that she is terrifying. She's basically his boogeyman. Him and his... Well, I can't mention it yet. You'll find out soon. We find out right away, this is how much Kana values Meryl's Inn. This is why I mentioned earlier, when Kana is lost and upset and she immediately goes back to Meryl's Inn, it makes so much sense because Kana consistently chooses and conveys that Meryl's Inn is a place of security, of comfort. It's a place that she first arrived in when she realized she was in when she woke up in Leadale. So it makes sense for her to go in. Oh, hello. Well, thank you for subscribing, Loch Ness. Thank you. Also, let me try to move the chat. Hold on. I am using a new layout. So hold on. I'm just gonna move it here. Now I'm just gonna move it behind. Okay. There we go. I'm using a new layout, so when I was trying to test this, I didn't get a chance to test the chat, but thank you so much for subscribing. Sorry, I was still talking. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense because she's so consistent about this. So even though the manga and the anime, what they did was they had Kana go back to the inn she's currently staying at in the capital. I get it logistically, but it just reduces a bit of that emotional value, if that makes sense. Because Kana's a very emotional person. She's emotional but logical. She really values people, and I will say that. Because time and time again, Kana has shown that what helped her, I guess, adapt to Leadale is the kindness of Morel and Lit and the townspeople in that remote village. As you can see, Elena and Arbiter are also there because as she meets more people, this group of people expand, but the core is she met them all at Morel's inn. Of course, she'll meet other people later, but there's just something so warm and so sweet about the way that you can tell Kana values that village so much. And I can't understate enough that number one, it makes sense. And number two, like, It's not like they did it intentionally, but there's so many things that go into it, so many layers, including the fact of Kaina's background, the things she went through. Gosh, I could talk a lot about just this one moment, but this is why when her grandson says that these crude inns, because they are not fancy, right? They're not fancy hotels. There are very fancy places, by the way, in this world. But Kaina never chooses to stay there. She always just wants to experience life and like go to inns because of Meryl's inn that she woke up in. Gosh, I can't talk too much because there's so much that hasn't been explored yet, and we haven't reached that point in the story, but just know that I really love the way the author portrays a lot of it. So, surprisingly for Kaina, as she is still at the inn, still a little bit upset with her grandson, but she has her friends around her that kind of help her. She meets someone else. Who is this, you may ask? Karina Sakai. By the way, we learned Sakai is their last name and Sakaya is the merchant house. So Carrick owns Sakaya. It is not his family. He started up himself. Now we know that Mai married someone with the last name Sakai. I actually don't know if they ever talk about Mai's first husband. I say first because we know she's currently married, and there is no way that her and Lopez could be together and have grown adult kids who already have their own kids. But Karina doesn't have kids. It's just Carrick. But Karina is actually a knight in Helpshner. We also learn about telepathy. See, this is a skill that they have. It's not a magic skill. It is kind of just like a character, what would we call it? A character trait skill. And I say that because you have to have a special relationship in order to use this. So it's not a skill you can learn. And for example, you could complete a quest and learn. Even if you have the skill, you can only use it with very specific characters who have a very specific relationship with you. That being said, something that is very interesting that they discuss in the light novel, they don't really go into this in the manga, but Kaina cannot receive messages from her kids. Her kids, you can see Kartaz using the skill here, use the skill to keep in touch with each other. It allows them to like instantly send messages, and only her kids have it because they are her foster kids. So they are able to use skills that players can use, and they're also able to use some traits and things that players can use. Telepathy is not a skill that anyone else that is non-game related can use. That's why as soon as Kaina mentions or realizes that these are her grandkids, she's like, oh, you use telepathy to talk. Because that's pretty much the only way for people to communicate like that in this game. They don't really have things like message orbs or things like that. That's what we learn later. So that is part of why her kids have such high positions as NPCs. Even her grandkids. Although one of them is technically self-made, but it's interesting because I'm very curious, and I don't know if they have not gone through it yet, because I'll be honest, I haven't finished this story. I think I got up to volume 3, so after that, I'll be basically experiencing the story along with you guys. And one thing I'm super curious about, I don't know if you guys are, but I am, is what happened to Mai for her to have a whole family in Helpshner and move back to Felskilo. And I say move back because her kids are from Felskilo. That's why they've established themselves there. That's why Kaina knows that she can go there. But Mai, and I think Kartaz has mentioned in the light novel, he actually specifically says, I know it wasn't easy for Mai to leave Helpshner and set herself or come back to Felskilo. So it's interesting that there is a story there. I want to know who her first husband is. I'm very curious why she left Helpshner and why she was able to just go back to Felskilo. Why would Helpshner just let her go? But also, Helpshner lets her daughter have such a high position. She's literally captain of the guard. She's also very strong comparatively. But to Kaina, she's not very strong. But to be fair, Kaina's not a fair measure of strength, but her daughter and son are much weaker than Mai. Anyways. Wait, what else was I going to talk about? Sometimes I have a lot of thoughts and I wish I wrote some of them down, which is why I remember to talk about some of them. But some of them are just like they pop up when I'm thinking of stuff, but I'm in the middle of talking, so I can't talk about the other thing until I finish talking about what I'm talking about. Darns. Okay. It comes back, it comes back. Now here's what Karina and Carrick were told about Kena when she was young. You're like a demon when angry, and you won't hesitate to disintegrate anyone, even family. Now, it is known and specifically mentioned in the light novel that Mai said all these things just to get her kids to behave. She basically used Kena as the boogeyman, and her kids believe it. Like, they do have a absolute fear of their grandma. Kena, you can see, she says, that's not true, and there's a little asterisk that says, it is. Because here's the thing, you have to understand, Kena is operating in the sense that this is a game. So to her, even if, for example, she does certain things or use certain actions would seem absurd, no, she doesn't actually, but she knows, like, here's the thing, Kena can see their health bars, so she knows exactly what moves to use and it would not disintegrate them. But other people don't understand why she's willing to take the risk because she's operating with game knowledge. It's kind of like when we're playing, I guess, Pokemon, let's say, for example. Because we can see the health bar, we know how many attacks to use and when to throw the Pokeball. But if you didn't see the health bar, it would kind of seem like you were spamming attacks on a poor Cleffa, and you would seem like a little bit of a jerk, wouldn't you? I mean, that's why when we see, like, I think, let me give an example. I forgot that trainer's name, but in the first season of Pokemon, there was a trainer who put his Pokemon through really harsh training. He had his Sandshrew go through water torture. Swimming training. He had all his Mons use, like, restrictive bans in order to train. And it seems crazy to other Pokemon trainers because they treat them like pets and cherish them, but he's basically having them go through very disciplined, harsh training. Now, he feels like he understands the limits, and if this was a regular train, we could be like, yeah, they can take it, they're fine. But to a regular people, it just looks crazy. So that's why, like, I think it's very funny that Kena, to her, she truly doesn't believe she's like that because she is still operating with the knowledge that she can see things like health points, that she knows the damage and things like that. She leaves their HP until 1. I mean, she is literally OP. She can heal them with no problem. So to her, it's like, it's not a big deal. Like, she knows that no matter what, she'll be able to heal people. But she is not lighthearted, I will say this. I'll bring this up again later. But Kena does not take it lightly, I will say. She does not take life lightly, which is such an interesting and fun contradiction. See, when Kena, they're like, oh, what is Kena gonna do when she's angry? She just makes a giant snowball, okay? And by the way, why she's upset, and I couldn't depict this because it would take so many panels. I highly recommend you check it out, the manga. They do such a great progression, and I do think that the other side characters have so much fun. What happens is Arbiter and everyone is making fun of her as Karina is describing what Mai told her and her brother growing up, and they're like, yeah, we can see that. We agree with that. We could definitely see Kena doing that, and Kena gets so upset she throws a giant snowball at them. Now the snow is admittedly packed pretty tightly, so it hurts a little, but you know, these are tough mercenaries. They're fine. It's just snow. Now at this time, after all the excitement, Kena decides she should take a look at the castle floating in the lake. Now the reason she's doing that, and you can kind of see it in the background here, is that there are 12 guardian towers, and her guardian told her that previously all the guardian towers could connect to each other, but because it's been so long and most of the guardian towers haven't had the mana they need, he asked if she could check in on the other guardian towers, and she agrees to do so because, I'll be honest, I think at that point Kena was looking for a purpose. because that was around the time when she was still unsure about a lot of things. So to give her something to aim for, to work on, I think that's really important. Also, I just realized something. The chat is not refreshing. Weird. All right, okay, so unfortunately my chat doesn't seem like it wants to pop up. I didn't even realize. I was just looking and I was checking. I was like, wait, it's not scrolling. That's so odd. Okay, anyways, technical issues aside, that is why Kana is working on going to visit these different Guardian Towers, but she does not know which ones are actually Guardian Towers, because keep in mind, 200 years in the future, she really does not know what has happened since then. So she's going to places that she thinks might be Guardian Towers because she actually, as a Tower Master, has a way to confirm if they are towers. So here she is approaching someone, and look at how cute she is. This person on screen is a Dragonoid. He is, I don't know if this is a bit spoilery, but keep an eye on him. He'll appear in Volume 3. So she's again asking about a castle floating in the middle of a lake. It is called the Crescent Moon Castle, currently in Bandits territory. We mentioned the Bandits earlier because the Bandits are currently blocking the route to Hauptschner. They've taken pretty much the trade routes, and Kana understands, well, that's why Elena brought her along to Hauptschner. So as you can see, you can't see the red, unfortunately, but the top of the map, most of it, 2/3 of it is fine. The bottom half is the red part. That is the off-limits part. That's where the castle is located. And there is actually a garrison, or like a knight's, I guess it's not a fort, it's just like a knight setup where they are basically blocking everyone from entering that area. This is another character. It says, the castle shines on nights with a crescent moon, and all the old farts are terrified of the place. They say it's a guardian's domain. Now, as Kana's dealing with this realization, this could possibly be a tower. This Dragonoid is looking at her a little too closely, so his partner deals with him. And we get a flashback. He feels she's very familiar. Now, what I think is very cute in the light novel is they mention that this particular character is constantly trying to reach out to Hayao. Now, I know it sounds strange, but trust me, this series is very wholesome. He has a reason for it, and he will appear in Volume 3. I just don't want to give spoilers. He's also in Volume 6 of the manga, if anyone wants a little preview and sneak ahead, but we won't cover it today because it is not in Volume 2. Now, she knows, as I said, can get to the Crescent Moon Castle right away if she uses magic, but the bandits are a problem. Kana technically is willing to fight, but she does not go around looking for fights. Oops, I did skip a panel. Okay, so the middle panel is just her thinking about her options, and she's being very reasonable about it. She's like, I could try to form a party and have people go with me, but other people probably want to risk their lives, because remember, even though Kana is operating on game logic, she recognizes, hey, I'm living here. Other people are real. This is not a game anymore. But also, look at how cute Kana looks in her little apron. Oh my gosh. So cute. So cute. And also, it has a cooking skills buff. Now, what does Kana cook? Food of effects. So this is what I basically want to do in Mystria, where like I want my food to have different effects to improve things. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But the cooking is a skill, by the way. What she does is she has to buy ingredients, uses her skill, and then they turn into food. So what Kana does in a lot of her skills is that she just needs the materials, and then she can craft things. There is a process for some of the crafting. In the first volume, they covered crafting building materials, I would say. True. Kina's always cute, though. But crafting, when you're doing building skills, it does require more physicality. It's not as simple as some of the other crafting skills. But that's why I said the magic system's really interesting. It's kind of mixed, and I get it. I wish that they had explained the structure a little bit. Now, Kana is actually cooking because she realizes that in order to go to the bandits, she has to go through the garrison. And in order to do that, she probably should talk to her grandson. Even though Kana is emotional and she got upset, she recognizes that he probably didn't mean it, and she's willing to talk it out with her grandson. So she goes back, but she wants to bring a peace offering. That's why she was cooking. It's very funny because there's this whole thing where Kana in the light novel doesn't know if the cooking skill will work. Because the thing is, she's never really used it outside of the game. And of course, when you use it in the game, it will have a different effect. Thankfully for her, the cooking skill works the same in her current state as it did in the game. So she ended up making just a bunch of things, and all the dishes she made at that time were for Arbiter, the mercenary, and the merchant corp. It was so fun because apparently they were very rare dishes. Dishes not even other nobles have been able to eat. And at first Arbiter's like, oh my god, should we even eat this? This is something we should preserve. And then before he knows it, the rest of his group has already eaten everything. So then he joins the fight to eat everything. Elena is very excited and wants to sell it as a product, but Kana's like, no, it will spoil. Which is true, because apparently they don't have very advanced food transportation also. The only way I can explain it is the world has kind of gone backwards, because before the players were reliant on skills. Now that there aren't these skills, they haven't advanced as quickly. That's how I'll explain it. It's so interesting though, because there's a whole side plot that isn't covered in the manga. And I understand why it wasn't covered. I'll mention it briefly. Basically, Kana has previously made a bunch of decorative things in the remote town village that she was previously in. She made a bunch of things such as knickknacks and trinkets, and one of the things she made were Buddha statues. And when Elena went and he saw these statues, he thought they were gorgeous and intricate, and he asked her, and she said, oh, they are a deity of the high elves. So then in the current town of Helpschner, what she does is she partners with Elena, and she makes a bunch of these statues, and the merchant corp decides to sell them by saying that they are the deity of high elves. And then based on that description alone, because there are not very many high elves left in the world, there is even a little conflict. It sells very well until another elf, not a high elf, another elf comes along, gets very angry, tries to fight Elena's merchant group because, as in his words, a high elf would never venture out into the world. They will remain near the world tree. And then he basically wants to fight until Kana gets there, and he yells at Kana. He yells at her, and you know what happens next? Absolutely nothing, because Kana activates her passive skills, and a lot of her passive skills include things like Intimidate, like the Pokemon move. She also has things like, I can't remember. There's Predator's Eye or something like that. There's a bunch. She activates a bunch of them all at once, and this elf is pretty much cowers in front of her, apologizes, especially when he recognizes she is a high elf when she shows her ears, because apparently high elves have much longer ears than other elves. And then he runs away. But it's a very interesting side note that happens in the light novel, but not in the manga. I understand why. I get it. But I think it's very funny because later on it will become kind of relevant. Anyways, Kana has now cooked a bunch of things. She heads back to go talk to her grandson. She says, the family just keeps growing and growing. I just hope there aren't any more. Now remember, it's been less than a month. She found out that her 3 kids are still here. She now has 2 grandkids and a great-grandson. Although, what if I added some more members myself? Ha ha ha, just kidding. I'll leave that there. Now, her grandson speeds through the room, re-enters, and immediately does a dogeza. Is on his knees, apologizing. He tells her, by the way, I didn't include it, but basically what he tells her is, you can do whatever you want with me. You can hit me, blast me, boil me, burn me. And that's why she's fierce. She's like, it was my Mai, wasn't it? She's the one who said those things about me. And he's like, yes. Immediately admits it because he's more scared of his grandma than his mom, as he should be. So she tells him to send a message to my Mai. Which do you prefer? The Iron Maiden, the guillotine, the gibbet, or being buried alive? Now, it's so funny because Kana is so furious, but she doesn't realize that it's because she keeps doing things like this that the misunderstanding between her, I guess, her bloodthirstiness, viciousness, keeps growing precisely because of this. So her grandson is not in great shape, and Mai is terrified. She actually passes out a little and then starts crying because, fun fact, all her kids are very distinctive. Her eldest son is a well-known mommy's boy. He literally thinks that Kana is the sunshine and angels reincarnated. She is amazing, but he clearly idolizes her. Her first daughter, absolutely adores her mom, and she's very much a crybaby with her mom. So it's a running thing where she's very cool, very calm, very playful with everyone else. But with her mom, she's basically always crying. It's actually very sweet because the contrast is not too much, but it's very distinctive moments, like when Kana is leaving, when she is upset with her, and I just think it's so side characters have so much personality. But you see, she's talking it out properly with her grandson. They both understand why the other came to the conclusion they did. She recognizes and apologizes for her own fault. We love a mature character. And she made him a cake, as you can see. Crazy cake. All stats for all party members plus 10%. That is crazy. And I think even her grandson in the light novel mentions that he would love to make products with his grandma because these things are apparently highly sought after, very rare. But again, Kana says no. She doesn't want to do too much trouble. She just likes to cook because she can. Now, Kana's super, super sharp. There's actually just a mere panel where her grandson is looking down and she's like, you want me to take out the bandits. She just is so, so sharp. And that's why I'm so annoyed with the anime for making her a ditz. She is not. Darn you, anime director. I am never gonna... I'm sorry. I get so upset because I'm trying to be calm because the thing is, it's normal to have different interpretations of a character, but to take a clever character and just dumb her down for no reason. And it doesn't even make any sense because half the time in the anime, she's super smart and super strong and super sharp. And then the other half, she's just like, If only you could see my face right now. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Anyways, as you can see, Carrick, very adorably wide-eyed. He is always hearing stories from his mom, and that's one of the things I think is very sweet. My Mai clearly has raised her kids with a lot of love because she is constantly telling them things, even though she used her mom as a boogeyman. You can tell that the kids definitely have a strong, how do I say this? Oops. You can tell that her kids are very, they grew up with a lot of love because of the way that they approach their grandma. This is a grandma they have not seen, have not known for 200 years, but they are very willing to accept her with open arms, even though they are told horror stories about her and she's made out to be their boogeyman. They are still very excited to meet her. So I think just as many stories as Mai has told them about Kana's terror and things like that, she's told them just as many stories about how kind and loving that she can be, and that's why they were so excited to meet her. Also, apparently, in this world, the Guardian Towers are foundational pillars supporting the world given to us by the gods. Only the chosen few can ever enter these legendary towers with precious treasures inside. Now you guys know why the bandits are trying to take over Crescent Moon Castle. It is a legend because Kana knows it's not true. Now, Kana's goal is to go to the tower and to wake up the guardian because each tower has a guardian. She doesn't need the help of her grandson, to be honest. She could just go and do it because, like I said, Kana is very powerful and she knows it. She is very aware of her abilities. But she tries to find other routes before she brute forces her way through. Now, Carrick is the one telling her in this scene, because I can't show you all the panels, Karina should be at the garrison. I'll arrange things so you can pass freely. Now, this is important because, like they mentioned, currently the country has blocked off the area because of the bandits. Like, no one can go through. But Karina is there. So Karina came from the border to apologize to Kana for Carrick, which also shows how severe the stories they heard about Kana were because she's currently busy. But you also get to see, like, Carrick and Karina have an understanding, like, yeah, if we don't help Grandma get through, we might not like the result. She's very capable of doing so. But as you can see here, it's really cute because this is a moment where Kana finally gets to, like, bond with Carrick as, like, a family. And I think this is one of those moments where you can see Kana and Carrick's, like, familiar connection. Like, you can tell they're family. You know those things where it's like your family members have the same laugh or the same smile? It's so cute because clearly here Kana and Carrick have the same evil laugh. I say evil laugh because there's a scene, and I didn't show it, where a servant is outside and he wants to approach to bring in, like, tea for them, and then he's like, I don't think I should. And he's literally shivering because he can just tell that they're up to no good. But it's so cute. Now, Kana is about to head off, and she's heading off a donkey. Just kidding. So, Kana is a skill master, but she's a high elf, and she's also a spirit master. I don't think spirit master is her official title, but what she does is she's constantly using summons. These summons vary. In the first volume, we are so many summons. I actually wanted to compile them all. I might do that in the second part for this book club. Compile all her summons because apparently there is rules for summoning. I didn't know that because Kana just summons all the time. If you are interested in seeing these cute moments, highly recommend requesting your libraries to bring in the Land of Leadale. A great way to support the author, and it's just, they're so cute. It's so worth it. It's one of those series that I have the light novel and the manga for. Anyways, we're bringing out Veldocancer. I think that's how you say it. Now, as you guys can see on the top right, I have little chibis. These chibis are actually from the manga table of contents. You can see Carrick, Karina, and now you guys are about to meet Velocancer. I keep calling him Velodancer. Velocancer is a gigantic crab. Look at how tall he is. Look at the big boy. And Kana and her little donkey for, size comparison. Now, how does she ride him? She fixed them in place of magic. And surprisingly, this donkey is very chill. Now, originally, Kana was concerned in the light novel because very reasonably, you don't know how animals will react to seeing a gigantic monster, a gigantic animal, But surprisingly, the donkey is very calm, and she says that she's impressed by her grandson and her great-grandson for being able to pick out animals that are able to stay calm because it speaks for the quality of animals. It's a very cute moment because she acknowledges her great-grandson as well. But it's also very fun because she was totally prepared to just go on without the donkey. She was totally prepared because the donkey is her excuse, by the way. On with the donkey are supplies she's bringing to the garrison, and that is what Carrick has arranged for her to give her a plausible reason to go to visit Karina. So she was fully prepared to just bring the supplies, leave the donkey, and come back for it. But thankfully, she was able to bring the donkey with her, and they scuttle along. Now, you see very, very, very tiny forms on the top as the Velodancer is moving along. And then she meets Karina. Now, you might be wondering why Karina has her kind of like interrogating her. It's because apparently this is supposed to be a 3-day trip. From Helpschner to the garrison border, as you saw on the map, it is a bit of a distance, a little bit of a distance. It's 3 days, 2 or 3 days. So when Kanan was able to get there in half a day, Karina had to interrogate her. Now, I say had to because even though Karina understands a lot of things about her grandma are like out of the realm of understanding, but as the captain of Helpshire Knights, there are a lot of processes she has to do, otherwise her fellow knights will probably be confused. And also because even though she's heard lots of stories about her grandmother from her mom, it's one thing to hear about these stories and it's another thing to see it for yourself. As you can see here, this is a very cute moment I had to show in its entirety, where basically Karina's second in command asks Karina if she knows who Kana is, and she's like, yeah, this is my grandma. And the second in command, who is a beastman, freaks out. He's like, oh my god, I thought she was your little sister. And they have such a cute moment, because up to this point, Karina has been very nonchalant. Like, she's tried to really keep calm and not like the other family members in Kana's lives where they've been very expressive towards her. She, because of her position and her responsibilities, has to be a little more neutral. So this was a very cute moment where you can see she's so happy. She's like, my sister. And she's happy that people recognize that Kana and her are related. Now, don't forget, I don't know if you can tell, Karina's ears are very long and Kana's look short. Kana's ears are actually not short. What she's doing is that she's kind of hiding her ears because it's a sign of her being a high elf. Anyways, it's very, very cute. You can see them freaking out because she said, I summoned a monster and had it carry me here. There's a moment I didn't show where basically the second in command accuses Kana of lying. So basically, that's when I found out. I was like, oh, summoning magic is not common here. And technically, we do find out in the first volume because there is a moment where Kana often uses summons to explore things. And then when the prince follows her because he's a little bit of a... he's a little spoiled. He doesn't really accept no as an answer. Kana has her summons protect the prince while she explores a tower. And then the prince's bodyguards think that she is a witch trying to kidnap the prince. Basically, Kana has to use some special tokens she got from the Marquise in order to get out of that situation. But up to that point, no one believes her when she says that she has summons. Apparently, when the magic declined, so did summoning magic. But Kana is also unique in how many summons she has. That's why I kind of call her a spirit master. Because of the sheer amount of summons she has. I will count them all in a future book club. In 2 volumes, I think she has over 10. Over 10 kinds of summons. And I don't mean like Kakashi Hatake where he has a pack of dogs and each dog is different. No. She has... It's like if Kakashi collected every single summoning scroll in the nation of Konoha. It's just so many summons. But as you can see, just as Kana is contemplating brute forcing her way through, because she knows that everyone is not very strong and there's literally nothing they can do to stop her, something happens. Oh no, the garrison is under attack. There are 9 of them, there are 9 of them being rock golems, and we know that not all 9 of them are golems. So Karina immediately goes into action. She tells Kana, don't move from this room. Like I said, even though she recognizes her grandma, she has to follow certain processes because she's a knight representing the country. So Kana says, don't come crying to me if you get hurt. But it's very cute. She's basically just pouting. Now, she does know that Karina is very strong. Karina is the knight captain. She is in charge of this garrison. Everyone else is super weak. And you can see here, she uses Arbiter as her standard for people's strength because Arbiter is a mercenary captain. He's very well known for being very strong, very capable. She is now using Arbiter as like a standard for regular people, and they can't even match up to Arbiter. There is a reason for that. We learn later on, and I don't think I can mention this. It's not going to become relevant, but adventurers and knights don't really get along. Now, knights are kind of haughty. They're kind of arrogant. I'm not going to say that they don't do their job, but it's very apparent that our adventurers don't really see them very well because of their attitude. And wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them became knights just for, a job. And then adventurers see themselves as people who are kind of making a living for themselves in a different way on their own terms, if that makes sense. It's always going to have this divide, but that's kind of where you get a hint that knights are not as strong as some of the adventurers. Not as strong. Not that they're not strong. We'll learn later on. Wait. Okay. Now here are the golems, what they look like. They are rock golems. Now keep in mind, sorry, you guys, I haven't mentioned this yet. Summons have different types: fire, wind, water, earth, dark, and light. I think that's 7. There's one more too. I think there's fire, water, wind, earth, rock, light, and dark. Okay, that is 7. Because technically earth and rock are apparently sometimes different. I don't know when they're different. Sometimes they are different. Number 9 in this group is actually this human riding this horse. The horse even looks evil. That's crazy. It's a real horse too, not a scary horse. And by that, if you guys read manhwa, you know what I mean. So the garrison starts attacking these golems. Their arrows bounce off. Karina instantly knows, I doubt we'll make it all out of this in one piece. And I didn't show it because I wasn't sure how YouTube would feel about it, but there's a scene where one of the knights is freaking out. The golem hits the knight. He goes flying, and part of his side is missing. So that's when Karina knows, because she's a knight, she cannot stand back. And we're going to show Karina's the full moment of Karina's coolness. Like, I had to show this. She stands forward and uses her ability. It is because of this ability that Karina is like head and shoulders above other knights. You can see the knight here. This one is not the one who got blasted away. He is actually the knight who became frozen when his friend got blasted away. So after that, ignore the transparency. I was trying to adjust something and I missed it. But even with Karina's attack, with her flaming sword, it did nothing. It did nothing to the golem. We will find out later why. Karina is actually fairly strong. If it had been any other opponent, she probably would have been able to do real damage. However, only in this case, because of certain circumstances, she is ineffective. And because Karina's ineffective, none of the other knights have a chance. Now, let me just drink some water. Hold on. By the way, I'm supposed to cover volumes 4 to 6 today, and I'm only like halfway through volume 4, which is why I have to split up this book club into 2 parts. So this is part 1. Excuse me. So just as Karina is kind of losing hope, this very tiny piece of light, and this is literally how small the panel is, comes out of nowhere, hits the golem, and slices it clean in half. Look at that. Look at that perspective. That is so effective. Pretty impressive. And there is Kana in her adorable glory. Kana is always so pretty. The manga artist really draws her so well. And she steps up, because even though she said earlier she wasn't going to step in, actually there were several scenes where Kana had contemplated stepping in several times. However, she said that there's no way that she could just go in and do everything for the knights. Excuse me. She knows that she can't just go in and do everything for the knights for a lot of reasons, but also that she needed to go in at the right timing. That's why I said Kana is so smart. She is very aware of a lot of things, even socially. So here's Kana. Oops. Oh, shoot. This is out of order. Oh, mans. Okay, so what you can't see is, I'm going to have to figure out why, but basically there should have been several panels. The one in the back is her using a magic spell. It's Meg, and you'll see more names of the magic spells later, but she's using a conductor to summon giant balls of electricity which all strike the golems. Everyone's freaking out because they've never seen magic on this scale. Not only because Kana is overpowered, but because magic is very much not as prevalent as it used to be. Now in this, you can see it's called Magic Skill Zanga Boa. And this is the result. They turned into literal flaming pieces of rock. I was gonna say meteorite, but it's not really meteorite, is it? It's just flaming pieces of rock. Disintegrated them. And remember the little human? Yeah, he's running away because he's freaking out. He literally did not think that this could happen. Now, Kana recognizes she was keeping an eye on this guy the whole time because she was like, wait, he doesn't seem like the one who's controlling them. They don't mention this in the manga, but in the light novel, Kana acknowledges with Ki that based on the way that this human was watching the golems, he was just here to make sure that they got to the right location, A, and B, see them succeed. That was it. He had no other role. He couldn't control them. They were basically going, she could tell that he could not compel them to do anything. So what does she do? She was summoning magic wind spirit level 5. Yep. In combination, there are levels to spirits. Sometimes they are relevant. Sometimes they're not. But this is a wind spirit. It's very pretty. And she has it track this human where he goes. Now, poor Karina, she's having a moment here. An actual moment. She says, "Thank you so much for saving my men. I'm sorry you had to see me in such a pathetic state." And look at her eyes. The artist did such a good job. She's so beaten down because they, as the knights of a country, could literally do nothing to these golems. Even Karina herself, which has been specifically tasked to in charge of these, this is her responsibility, these are her garrisons, these are the men she trained, this is her area, she couldn't do anything. And even though she knows her grandmother is very strong, I don't think she also wants to rely on her grandmother either. She also has her pride as the captain, as, a knight, as a citizen of the country. And then Kana, in a great show of understanding and empathy, she immediately first acknowledges her efforts, and she acknowledges the uniqueness of her skill. Oops, hold on. And Karina is comforted because honestly, it's one thing to have to face your inadequacies, but for someone as strong as Kana, for someone who Karina has heard stories about for so long from her mother, about her ability, about her knowledge, about her prowess, for her to acknowledge Karina's efforts, her skill, and understand where Karina goes wrong, I think it's such an important moment for Karina. Now, this isn't covered in the manga, but there's a very, very, very sweet moment in the light novel where basically as Kana is talking to her about this fire sword skill that Karina has developed, she actually acknowledges, says, "Oh, it's probably this skill, right?" And Karina's like, "How did you know?" And she means it because apparently what happened was Karina saw a player use it when she was young. And she asked that player and paid them to use the skill in front of her until she could replicate it herself. Kana understands and recognizes, she's like, okay, because it's a specific skill, you probably won't be able to get further of that just through your efforts. She does offer Karina the chance to learn a skill because don't forget, Karina is Kana's granddaughter. I was going to say great. She's her granddaughter. So what Kana can do is Kana can give her a skill. This is actually something I wanted to discuss because it's complicated. But basically, Kana says, I shouldn't be giving out skills, or I can't give out skills. I'm trying to remember what the wording was, but there was a specific wording where Kana was saying that she couldn't just give the skill to Karina. Karina had to earn it. So she was telling Karina, you have to fulfill a trial at the tower in order to obtain the skill. Karina decides to go to a specific tower, and Kana's very upset. She's like, do not throw your life away like that. And instead of, for example, recommending Karina to go to her own tower, Karina says, oh, she won't be so careless. And that kind of ends it. And I thought it was interesting because Kana could have just told Karina her tower, and she didn't have to say specifically what the trial was or anything, but she could say, hey, try this place instead. And Karina might be able to figure it herself, but she doesn't. So Kana is very, how do I say this? She's very hands off when it comes to a lot of things of her family, like her foster kids. She truly believes like they're all adults now, and it is because they all are adults. She lets them kind of live their own lives and things like that. But I do think it's interesting that it kind of stops there. And I know and I understand that because Kana is 17, there's no way she could possibly do everything. But I think that for everything she's trying to help and discuss, like for example, there was another character at the very beginning, which is Meryl. Meryl was asking Kana if she could learn magic, and Kana was actually thinking if Meryl could learn it by saying, you need this space skill, you need this space skill, you need to do this. And seemed like she was very willing to guide Meryl through this process, which is why I think it's interesting that she's not doing that for Karina. I wonder if it is because Karina is a knight serving a country, so Kana is being more cautious because Kana's whole thing going through Leadale is she does not want to attract attention. That's why she doesn't tell people, hey, the head priest is my son. Or say like, hey, I am a high elf. She doesn't do that intentionally because she doesn't want to attract too much attention. But that's why I think it's interesting that she was so willing to do it for someone else, but she didn't do it for her granddaughter. She does tell her, hey, you could possibly obtain the skill if you go through this. But she doesn't go in even further into it. So yeah, there's also like contradictions to it later on. I'll bring it up as it pops up, but this was just one of them. And because it's never discussed in the manga, I felt like it would be okay to talk about here. It's also very interesting to note that because Karina mentions that there was someone she paid to use the skill in front of her, Kana never asked her about that person. I'm trying to remember if she does. I might have to look back in my light novel because I don't think I wrote it down. Yeah, by the way, the skill is called Fireblade. It's weapon skill Fireblade. Yeah, my notes here are very much asking me to compare stuff. Okay. Let me check something really quick. I have a note here. I want to see where the note pops up and see if it's relevant for me to talk about now or later. Okay, yep, later. All right. Sorry, my cell is being weird. But yeah, there's so many moments that are so interesting, and I understand why they're not in the manga, but I just wanted to make sure to talk about them. You see here, Kana is telling her, Karina, that she can tell Karina that they handled it, that the garrison can take credit, that they can let the country know that they did their job. For a lot of reasons. Number one, Kana doesn't want to stand out. Number two, it is the pride of the knights. Kana acknowledges that. She knows that because of their position and their responsibility, that they do have a lot of pride. And you can see Karina is so cute. She is so expressive, even though she tries to be neutral. As she spends more time with her grandma, she shows more expressions naturally. So Karina's like, okay, what do you want in return? And Kana, with her very adorable expression, just says, yeah, just let me through. Pretend you didn't see me. No matter what happens, it's nothing to do with you. And Karina says, fine, but know that once you pass through our garrison, you are out of our jurisdiction. Whatever happens to you, we take no responsibility for. She has to say it. It's like a disclaimer. But basically, her second in command and her other knights are confused. They're like, hey, even though, yeah, this person seemed really powerful, are you sure? Are you sure? And Karina is telling them, hey, be careful. She could literally wipe out a country. And they are confused. They're like, she wouldn't be human anymore. Now, my question is, because Kana is a high elf, is she technically human? Is she technically human? Now, the reason I bring that up is because high elves are so rare, apparently, in this world that they all don't leave the world tree. They are known to have a lot of benefits. They do have negatives. So one of the negatives is that because they can communicate with the trees and nature, it gives them benefit for scouting and things like that. But it also is negative because when they like walk on grass or things like that, they can hear the pain of the trees and the grass. And they also, when they try to collect materials, they also hear them cry as they're about to be chopped down. It's shown very vividly in volume 1, so I highly recommend. It's so cute. It's so animated. But high elves are very rare. So does she count as human? I mean, I don't know. So this is Mai telling her kids. It's a young Karina and Carrick. They're telling her, if you ever do meet your grandmother, be careful not to mess up. And she says, your grandmother is a very kind person, but remember this, with just one spell, she could wipe a city off the map. Not just a city, by the way. We find out, not just a city. Boom. As Karina is explaining things to her knights, there's a literal mushroom cloud of magic. And she tells her knights, and they're like, oh my god. And she's like, yes, let's go see what is left after she has gone through. Now, what Kena destroyed was the bandits' base. So she didn't destroy any bandits. All she destroyed was their base. So you can see all she does is knock out the bandits. They are regular people. They're not players or anything. They're just regular bandits. Kena has been using her magic just to, remove their stronghold and things like that. And then she summons Brown Dragon level 2. My confusion is that in the light novel, they are called Earth Dragons. Here they're called Brown Dragons. I also found another translation for, I think it's the anime, that calls them Rock Dragons. So are they Earth? Are they Rock? Are they Brown? We don't know. Now, by the way, when they're level 2, that does not mean that they are level 2. Summons have different levels, and as I say, you go up in level. So like the level 5 Wind Spirit, that was a high level or Wind Spirit. This Brown Dragon level 2 is fairly low on the totem. However, we learn a bit more about the summon structure later on. And these dragons are more than enough that no regular person could probably stand up to them. Because of Kena's level. We will go more into that when it pops up. So here are the summoning rules. Oh, okay, this is where they pop up. So you can see, Kena can see the levels of the summons. She said 8 of them were level 43, and the last one was level 172. That's weird. There were 9 golems. When I counted them, there were only 8. Okay, so there are summoning level restrictions. I will go more into that later. Summoning magic must abide by certain rules. For one, you can only summon 9 creatures of the same type at most, so it's a maximum of 9 of one type. There apparently were 9 golems. And there's a threat level. So the combined threat level of the summoned monsters must equal 12, so 8 has a level 1, and this one has a level 4, which makes 12 in total. That's why these were about 173, and this one was 214, I think it was. Oh no, 43 and 172. On top of that, the formula for a monster's level is spellcaster's level times threat level times 10%. So every time Kena summons something, it's level 1100 times the threat level, which is, let's say, level 2 in this case, times 10%. I actually don't know. Let me see if I can calculate how much that is. 1100 times 2 times 0.1. They are level 220. That is the level of these Earth Dragons, Rock Dragons, Brown Dragons. Level 220. Now, to give you an understanding of how powerful these Earth Dragons are, Arbiter Kena estimates would be in around, I think, 100. So he's not even level 100. So these Earth Dragons are 220, and there are 3 of them. Like I said, any summon that Kena has is very overpowered. Oh, the wind spirit. We should calculate the wind spirit too. Hold on. The wind spirit would be 1,100 times level 5 times 0. Oops. 1,100 times level 5 times 0.1. 550. That one wind spirit was level 550. I'm gonna have to visually depict that in like my next PowerPoint. We're gonna calculate the levels of all of her summons from now on. Those golems were level 43 at threat level 1, so the caster was 430. They are strong. Karina and her men. Scargle and the others. I don't think Scargle and the others could take that on. When she is referring to the others, she's referring to her son Kartaz, her daughter Mai, Arbiter, and them. 430. Not even her son, who is her foster child, who is literally such a high position that the country entrusts their safety with them, could take on a player. That is how crazy these level distributions from the game compared to present day Leadale is. But this is what Kena realizes, because previously in Volume 1, she had grappled with the fact that she might be the only player in Leadale, because Leadale was known to be shut down, so she didn't know if anyone else would be here. But since there's someone following the summoning limitations, she wonders, is there someone else here besides just Kena? Just her. Now this is Crescent Moon Castle in the middle of a beautiful lake. You can see a little bunch of boats here, her earth dragons, and the bandits who are about to set off and to try to conquer for the quote-unquote treasure. She sends off her earth dragons, and if you're wondering what kind of attacks they have, like Pokemon, here we go. My throat, hold on. Two hours and I'm still talking about manga volume 4 because there's so much to talk about. My favorite volume. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. See, I said brown earth dragon spotlight. Arrows do nothing to them. And by the way, these aren't knights. These are the bandits. So one literally just stomps on them. They also have a fire breath attack, which turns them into stone. So if they were Pokemon attacks, it would be Harden, Tackle, and Medusa breath. What would we call a breath that turns into stone? It'd be Stone breath? There has to be a better name for it. But basically, that's what the Earth Dragons are capable of. The men literally... Oh, by the way, I didn't show this. If you are curious, you can check it out for yourself in the manga. Basically, they underestimate Kena because she is young, looks young. She looks like a young woman. And they're like, she's alone. She just has 3 things with her. They don't know what these are because summons are no longer common. So people do not recognize that these are dragons. Finally, we encounter the mysterious player 2. As you can see, he turned out to be a demon king. He says, "What do you want, adventurer? Don't you think it's kind of rude to take out all of someone's underlings like that?" And you would think that because she has taken out his underlings, he'd be a little more cautious. Nah. She says, based on his voice, I think he's even younger than me. Remember this. So Kena says, "You're the one who sent an attack on the garrison. Don't try to say you forgot about it." And he said, "That doesn't count. I wasn't the one actually doing it." So you're saying none of those crimes were your fault? He says, "Well, duh." And Kena comes to the realization that he thinks they are still in the game. Now, here's some spark notes on the demon race. The demon race is high stat growth, so it's really fast, but the downsides are NPCs avoid them, monsters like them, and it's hard for them to go into shops to buy items. A lot of people chose the race at first, but towards the end, it was almost as unpopular as high elves. Now remember, high elves are unpopular because their characteristics are they have a natural affinity for magic, high mana MP recovery rate, but the downside is they literally hear all the plants and trees. Kana learns to deal with this. At the beginning, it's tough for her, but she learns to deal with it. But it is very much detrimental to a lot of the players, so there aren't many high elf players. Back to the intense fight. You can see Kana says, everything that happens here is real. It's not just some world where you can decide people's lives on a whim. She recognizes the weight. As a player, she could easily take out people, but she recognizes these are lives. My gosh. Excuse me. So it says, the hell are you talking about? There aren't any GMs here, so we player killers can let loose. It's pretty sweet. You don't get to tell me how to play the game. If I want to kill people to level up, that's totally up to me. So Kana immediately starts activating her skills. You can see she has Menace, Intimidate, Attack Support, Defense Support, Bonus Damage, Damage Reduction. Kana is unique in that because she is a level 1100, that's called a limit breaker because the player limit is actually 1000. Number 2, Kana is specializing in magic. So there's a lot of skills she can use simultaneously because of her proficiency in them. It is not common to use multiple skills all at once. We learned that. Even using 2 skills, apparently in the entire continent that they're in, a Felskilo, in the entire continent, there are maybe 3 people, not including or maybe including her son Scargo, who can do something called double casting. Kana is doing hexacasting. Even though she's not like actively casting, having 6 active skills is crazy. We learned that. We learned it's crazy. He says it's just a game. So now they go into an epic fight. Their fight is actually pretty cool. I think the manga does a really good job of depicting fight scenes. And I should note before I show you anything else. The reason Kana instantly clocks this demon as a player is because of his armor. Apparently he's wearing gag armor. It's one of those armors where players can obtain it from specific events and they have specific traits, but not many people use them because they're really not effective once you are no longer a rookie, if that makes sense. So his specific set, it's called, I don't remember what it's called. Maybe she'll mention it later. But it's a specific set that nullifies magic damage. This does not mean that it's fully immune to magic, as you will see in a bit. So Kana recognizes this is a physical fight. She takes out her boa staff, which by the way is a crazy strong, overpowered weapon, and they start fighting. Kana uses a skill on the ground, cracking earth hammer. She does not say anything like magic skill or weapon skill, which she does in other times. She uses magic skill, Ota Laga. She takes water from the lake. And then once she has, by the way, he's in, with cracking earth hammer, she makes a crater. Ota Laga, she fills the crater with water. And then she uses another magic skill to induce lightning. Natural lightning. It's not magic lightning. She's just speeding up the process. And then finally, as the player is confused, why are magic attacks hitting him? And she has to explain to him, because it's not magically created. So like the water and electricity is not magically created. They're natural things that she used magic to pull from nature. So that's why the gag set only works for when you are, I guess, younger in level or lower in level. And once the players become more higher level, they become more proficient in their skills, they understand how to move around these restrictions. Now, Kana also notes, let me see if she mentions it. No, I didn't. Okay. So there is a scene where Kana notes that this player is clearly very young because he's level 430. That is crazy high. Remember, Kana is a limit breaker. 1100 is not typical. 430 is crazy high. But his hand-to-hand combat is so low. He has no proficiency. He's clearly used to just brute strengthening things. And so here, Kana just pushes him into the crater. And he has to crawl again and again. And then she smacks him on the head. That's all she does. She does not actually hit him. Because remember, Kana can see his health bar. He is a demon with extremely fast health healing, extremely fast mana healing and things like that. Or maybe I didn't mention that, but he does have those characteristics. That's why she knows that she can do these things to him. And she says, hey, why can't you see that this pain is real? This is such a powerful scene because what I think is kind of missing when it comes to current stories about people isekaiing into like games or different worlds is how quickly they adapt. So I get that some people can do it and they can go, they're very adaptable. They have always dreamed of going to another world. There are people, and I think one of the most interesting stories I read, even though it was kind of weird in premise, it was there are specific character traits that are given to people who are summoned so they don't freak out, so that they can remain calm, so that they can adapt. In this case, Leodo does such a good job of depicting that realization. And I think that's so hard to depict because if you don't depict it properly, it can feel shallow. So a lot of these times when you see one panel of someone being like, oh my God, I'm in another world. And then the next day they're just eating like normal. You can say they're coping or in denial, but it just doesn't quite hit. It's not as emotional. It doesn't make you realize or feel like, oh my God, they're in another world. Even though isekai is such a common genre nowadays, I do think it would be crazy, right? It would be very hard, even for people who have read millions of stories, to calmly understand that they are now in another world. You know what I mean? So here you can see, I'm going to try to show it. I don't think I showed the full progression of the panels, but something Leodo does so well in the manga is perspective, panels, and typesetting. It's so good. Huh? Wait. Now that I think about it, this time it's been way more. No way, and I had to show you a full page. You see this contrast of him being in denial, her being blunt with him. He's saying, I'm just a kid, I'm calling the cops. There aren't any cops here. You hurt a lot of people. You're going to have to take responsibility for that. It's so powerful. And now he's come to the realization he's finally in another world. He's scared. He hurt people. He's just a kid. And Kana recognizes this. Kana has the really difficult responsibility. And this will be going into a little bit more in like a few moments. Hold on. I'm literally just in volume 4. There's so much to talk about. I've skipped through things in volume 4. Kana is grappling with the fact that she might have to eliminate this player. Kana does not take this lightly, but as she is grappling whether she needs to remove this player, an arrow is hit in front of her, stopping her in her tracks. She does sense it, and it's her granddaughter. Says, what is it? I was just about to finish this. They beg Kana to let them deal with the bandit. They want to do it through the law because he's hurt a lot of people. Don't forget, don't forget, you guys don't remember. In volume 1, he enticed the bandits to take over a fort, and in that fort they killed the soldiers who were stationed at the fort and took over the fort. So Kana is here telling them, do you really think you can control him? He's beyond even what Karina can handle. And look at how shocked they are. To them, Karina is a standard that they will never reach. But for them to hear that Karina can't even handle them. By the way, he is level 430. Scargo could not even handle this kid. Right now he's crying and she says, his innate demon racial abilities are healing him. I have to take care of this before he can move again because even though right now he is crying, Kana is concerned that once he starts, if he recovers and decides he still wants to continue, if he freaks out, if he uses any item from his item box, it could be disastrous. Disastrous because literally very few people could probably go up against him. It's crazy to me though that the knights, like they are well trained, don't get me wrong. I understand from their perspective. They immediately went to grab their weapons. They are so well trained. I think it's kind of dumb. because they literally saw a gigantic magic mushroom cloud. Maybe they think she's weak. Maybe they think her mana is gone. But like, to know someone is capable of mass destruction and to still make them feel threatened by drawing your weapon, that is crazy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, well-trained, instinctual. If it was anyone other than Kana, they might be part of another big explosion. I'm just saying. Even Karina is hesitant. She's prepared, but she's hesitant because she recognizes that Kana is extremely powerful. And Kana gives in. Now, this is a really important part of why Kana feels responsibility to deal with this player. You see this? This is called a punishment collar. It turns out this specific collar, which is a specific item given to game masters and also to limit breakers. Limit breakers are players who went through a specific event, broke through the limitations of levels, and like Kana, are level 1100. The punishment collar reduces all stats to 10% of their max and can only be removed by a GM or a few others. Limit breakers were kind of a task to be like player GMs, and they would help the GMs manage some of the games. It's why Kana, number one, feels a responsibility to deal with the player. She is very used to this because she is someone who has been given this responsibility before. She also is the only one who can recognize the risk and the danger this player poses. Even though he's a kid, kids are impulsive, kids can be unpredictable. She recognizes and understands the value of life, but she is also... It's one of those things where she has to contemplate, like, is the damage he can cause and the damage he's already caused, because don't forget, he's already, even though he may not have done it, he says he's a player killer. Has he been killing other people up until this point thinking it's a game? He's also been collecting bandits, inciting them to do tons of pillaging, attacking, and things like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, his equipment's gone because, by the way, it doesn't lock away his equipment, but because it's one of those worlds where you need a certain level to equip some of your equipment. So once his level's reduced, he can't use some of his items and his equipment. She says, you should be fine now. He'll still play some nasty tricks if you let your guard down. I have concerns about, like, their approach to this player because they do discuss it a little bit later. I think I can talk a little bit about it. Basically, even though she warns them, they don't believe her. The knights try to take the collar off of him. I don't know if this is depicted in the manga. I don't think it is. The knights, once they have him in custody, they try to take the collar off of him. And Karina, even though Kana has warned her time and time again and was very emphasizing to her, if you take that off, he will destroy wherever you are keeping him. They still try to take it off him. I get it because they're like, oh, we can't be scared just because one person told me this. And I'm like, is that the same thing that can be said if Kana is the mother of the 3 highest ranking people in Felskilo besides the royal family? Her kids in Helpshner are also super high ranking. Everyone knows they are overpowered and have abilities beyond their comprehension. This is the mother that they revere, who, by the account of many knights, many merchants, many mercenaries and adventurers, has abilities beyond current comprehension, that they can still ignore her warning and try to take off something that she tells them this is the only thing that is allowing you to take him into custody. Also, she says even though he has this collar, he might have gag items because there are tons of gag items that would do damage to them. There was another incident where he sent a bunch of bandits to take over a fort I mentioned earlier. He gave them what is referred to as a gag item. It is a staff that basically has 10 charges. You can shoot fireball 10 times. That fireball is 10 times more powerful than any magic that is currently in this world, but it is considered a gag item by players because anyone can use it and it only has 10 charges. that specific item is considered an artifact. It is artifact level, and to Kana, it is a toy. So when she warned them, very specifically, reminded them, they still tried to take the collar off. You know, I kind of wish that they had tried and it had, like, I don't know, he used something just to shock them. Maybe not blow up wherever they kept him, but, like, done something that made them scared. Because sometimes the impotence of some of the characters, like, I get it. It's unbelievable, a lot of the things Kana can do and can say. But it's just, they have so many witness accounts and they still don't believe it. It's nuts to me. I mean, I do believe it. I'm just saying, sometimes there are powerful people who do stupid things because they think they know better. And even though people say that they don't want the specific thing, they still do the thing. So I guess it's realistic in that sense, but that's probably what makes it frustrating. Anyways, Kana decides to let it go. She lets them take them, and she says, I wasn't even going for him. I actually had another purpose. This was just on the way because she, thought he might be a player, but she wasn't sure if he was a player. Anyways. So Karina is reluctant. She knows she's angered Kana, but there's nothing she can really do. And also, it's kind of complicated. But I think in the light novel, this is what I wrote. So there is one moment where Kana was talking about the specific collar that she was warning Karina about. And she was like, don't remove it under any circumstances. He's so powerful beyond your comprehension, beyond anyone in probably the country can handle him. And then Karina clicks her tongue. Now, I'm not sure how it is in a lot of places, but I will say that in most cultures, most Asian cultures, specifically in Japanese culture, clicking your tongue is very disrespectful. It can be like, I'm not saying it's always disrespectful, but it is seen as very disrespectful, especially because number one, Karina is Kana's granddaughter. Number two, she knows Kana is very powerful. So when she clicks her tongue, Kana doesn't react. She doesn't think much of it. But I'm just surprised that Karina does that because up to this point, she has been... I guess the manga and the light novel also differ here. So in the manga, Karina is much more neutral, as I said, but then she becomes more expressive with her grandmother. But you can tell she still really respects her. In the light novel, Karina is a little more disrespectful. And not in a bad way. It's more like in a disbelieving way. Like, yes, my mom told me you were the boogeyman, but like, are you really the boogeyman? Does the boogeyman exist? Or like, I'm an adult. I now know the boogeyman doesn't exist and mom just wanted us to behave. And then what surprises me is that even after she sees the magic mushroom cloud, Kana destroying rock golems, Kana summons, Kana fighting the bandit and subduing him, she still is, you could say, on one hand, comfortable enough to click her tongue in front of her grandmother. On the other hand, I don't know. I feel like it's interesting that she's doing that. Of course, all characters have their own personalities. And like I said, she's a knight. She's proud. She has pride. She is serving her country. She is like a captain of a whole garrison. I still think it's kind of crazy. Especially after you saw your grandmother defeat enemies that could have killed you and saved all your men and healed all your men. I still think it's a little crazy. That's just how I feel. Anyways, it's already been 2 hours. I'm still in volume 4. Okay, we're gonna finish Crescent Moon Castle. We'll probably do volume 5 and 6 because 6 is not actually the entire volume that's covered in volume 2 of the light novel. Volume 6 of the manga is only probably a third of the manga that is covered in volume 2, and then it's kind of like that's where the pacing kind of gets thrown off. So I'll probably cover volume 5 because it's shorter. Volume 4 is just my favorite. I have a lot I want to say about volume 4. But volume 5 is a little bit shorter, and then volume 6 is very short. So I'll probably put that in the next one. But we'll finish volume 4 today. We're still not done. Because don't forget, we're now at Crescent Moon Castle. Very fancy, very opulent, very glamorous. Now, the ring that Kena is referring to is called the Skillmaster ring. It is a specific ring given to Skillmasters that number 1 glows when it's near another skill tower, and number 2, it also is the way for them to enter their towers, because there are 2 ways to enter the tower. You enter through the front door, and then you have to go through the tower trial. Skillmasters use it to teleport to their guardians, the guardian room. Now, how do they teleport, you may ask? One who protects in times of trouble, I beseech you to rescue this depraved world from chaos. And it immediately reminds me of magical girl summoning. Kena falls into a trapdoor, but it is the Skillmaster entrance. She ends up inside, and unlike the outside, the inside is very desolate. It's broken, there's like empty pillars, and it's not just because it's been 200 years. So here, Kena is trying to look for the Guardian, who is supposed to greet her as soon as she enters. So far, with the other towers, the Guardian has had enough mana, I guess, that they've been able to talk to her right away and be able to communicate with her. But this time, she kind of has to search them out. She approaches the throne, puts in some mana, and then the skeleton gets a magical girl transformation, which you guys will have to see when you guys check out the manga for yourselves. But it greets them. They are the guardian of this tower. The tower of the great Opus Ketten Schuttenheimer Krostet Bomber. Let me say that for you again. Opus Ketten Schuttenheimer Krostet Bomber. Now you're probably wondering, why is Kena twitching? It's Opus. This is the guy who induced Arbiter to fight Kena earlier. He has been part of a lot of Kena's flashbacks. He is Opus, a demon, and also a limit breaker. He is the 13th skill master. He is actually the 12th skill master now, because the 12th skill master quit after being harassed by players who were chasing after skill masters to give them skills. So Opus became number 12, but technically he's 13. Now, he's been playing with Kena since the beta testing of Leadale. They are in the same guild, and they are very, very close. She thinks about him a lot, because I think he was a huge part of her game experience. He's pompous, a prankster, and he's an idiot, maybe weirdo. But despite all that, he's also extremely strong in strategy. He took a small group of players, which by the way is their guild called Cream Cheese. It is an entire guild of limit breakers. I don't think all of them are skill masters, but all of them are limit breakers. And they were able to beat an entire kingdom in battle. Now, that may sound crazy because, like I said, limit breakers 1,100. This was Leadale when there were players. Nowadays, I think Kena could take out a country by herself. Back then, there were other players who were ranging from level 1 to level 1,000. So for a group of about, let's say, 12, or I think it was 22, I can't remember how many were in Cream Cheese, but a group of them to defeat an entire kingdom, which, by the way, there were 7 kingdoms, and the kingdoms were populated by players. So the players had their bases in the kingdoms. That is crazy. He is her partner in crime and teacher who taught her how to play the game. And he's very, very influential in Kena's life. The author likes to remind us of this constantly. If you read the light novel, the author likes to remind you constantly. And that makes Kena a little sad because she realizes this is one of her friends. So the Guardian says, it's highly unpleasant, but don't be fooled. The Guardian's very sweet. They're just, And look at how cute Kena is. She's like, little teary here, little teary here. Gives her this. And what is it, you might ask? It's from Opus. It is a fairy. A fairy sleeping in a book. Now, I do have to mention something specific because fairies... Hold on. Wait a sec. Okay. Fairies primarily existed to help aid in quest. Now, a couple questions that was specifically mentioned in the light novel. How did Opus get a fairy? Because they're made to help players in quest, right? That means that they are something part of the game system. Even though limit breakers help game masters with their task, how did Opus have access to a fairy? Number 2, how did Opus know that Kena would appear in his tower? Lots of questions. But look at this very cute moment. This is basically Opus and Kena's daughter. And the fairy really likes her. I didn't show it because it's so cute. You really have to check it out for yourselves. But the fairy settles with Kena. And Kena is even like, oh well, Opus left her for me. I'll figure it out. Now, he also tells her to take anything from his item box, so she does. And look at how cute she is here. Right here, by the way, what she's gonna do is she gives her mana to the Guardian, because the Guardian's kind of like, how do I say this? The Guardian seems very blunt, but they're not rude. And the fact is, like, they actually were concerned that Kena might not have enough mana because she used a lot of mana on the way here. Yes, Kena is wearing very high level equipment and she has really high mana recovery, but the Guardian is still kind of reluctant because it takes a lot of mana to recharge the tower. So in the light novel, it specifically mentions that they were kind of like not sure, but Kena volunteers. She was glad to do it because she knows she's going to recover. And now she's going to head out. She says, if you need anything, you can contact the Guardians in towers 3 or 9. Because Kena is tower skill master number 3. Number 9 is Kyotaro, who was in volume 1. It was the Colosseum in Fauskilo. So the towers can actually talk to each other, but because they've been out of service for so long, they don't have mana. She's just reconnecting them. Also, they can contact Kena because now Kena is the skill master for these towers. She takes over. She is now the master. And look at how cute the fairy is. I couldn't resist. Alright, now these earth dragons are waiting for her outside of the tower, and Kena decides to spend the night. Like I said, it takes a lot of mana to recharge the towers. She decides to spend the night and take a rest until her MP's full again. Kena is very cautious. She's not reckless. Even though she is level 1100 and her physical capabilities are enough to defeat anyone, she still makes sure that she can rest so that she is at full strength when she battles anyone. Kena is smart and cautious. I am gonna keep making subtle digs at the anime director. I'm so salty. Now here's the thing about Crescent Moon Castle. It turns out it is actually the House of Murder and Malice. So while others refer to it as the Crescent Moon Castle because it shines and there's a crescent moon in the lake when at night, it is actually Opus's House of Murder and Malice. It says there's a sign next to the castle gate that reads, all visitors must sign a writ of execution, but the contract in front of the door is a trap. It's actually a sheet of iron that had all 4 of its edges sharpened. If you get too close, it'll slice you to ribbons. There's also a door knocker that will bite off your hand, flowers that let out poisonous smoke when you go near it, and spikes that shoot out of the floor when your foot touches the ground. It truly is not what everyone else thought it was, and Kena even mentions that it's a good thing that the bandits were not successful in trying to enter this place because they definitely would have lost their lives instead of being put to sleep. By the way, Kena put a lot of bandits to sleep, and I wonder why the garrison and the knights were like, oh yeah, we can take her on. We can take her on when we couldn't even deal with these low-level bandits. We could definitely use our swords against her. But this is when Kena realizes I'm not the only player left in Leadale. She does not know if Opus is still here because Opus is very important to her. But somehow she has some nice dreams, and this is Opus's House of Murder and Malice. With the crescent moon, you can see it's glowing. Appearances are deceiving, that's what we learned today. But also, like, I think it's so sweet that as soon as she realizes that Opus is kind of like still watching out for her, she's able to kind of relax and get a good night's rest. It's like, it's such an emotionally charged subtlety. Like, that sounds so weird. How do I explain this? There's so much behind that kind of thought, where like just knowing that this person thought of you, that this person anticipated you, that this person prepared something for you, that you can sleep well. Because I know sleep is very, very difficult for some people, and for Kana especially, she doesn't have a hard time sleeping because she is, like I said, always kind of aware. But Kana always has her summons watch over her, and she actually has a specific equipment with a security measure with a summon who has protected her on occasion. So Kana is very cautious, but for her to just let her guard down and be like, yeah, I'm gonna have a nice dream, it's very sweet and very soft, and you can tell just how much her friendship with Opus kind of means to her. That is the end of volume 4. It has been 2 hours and 20 minutes. I've talked about one volume, but there was so much to talk about, and I still missed parts. That's going to be it for today. We still will have part 2 of this book club, where I will discuss manga volume 5 and part of volume 6. Thank you so much for joining me today, whether you are chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. I do apologize. I just remembered I set up marshmallows. Let me check really quickly if any have come in. I normally have my marshmallows set up so that if anyone wants to participate in chat, but maybe you're feeling a little shy, that you have an option. I do apologize. I forgot. I was too excited to talk about this because volume 4 is my favorite volume of the series. So much to discuss. Okay, nope, I didn't get any marshmallows. That's okay. Anyways, that's gonna be it for part 1 of this book club. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. I do apologize that my voice was kind of struggling at near the end of it. I have too much to say. Still more to say, and not enough time. But as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested, definitely check out In the Land of Leadale is very recent. If you check out your local libraries, they should have them. If not, you can always request them. Libraries are glad to bring in books on request. And this is very recent for a series, so it shouldn't be difficult. It should be readily available, especially with Black Friday and Christmas coming up. As always, thank you so much for joining, whether you're chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. I hope you found this as interesting and fun as I found it. I'm super excited to talk about Volume 5. A lot happens. Some very exciting things happen, and I will do my best. I think we're gonna watch the anime first on Sunday because I think I'm gonna take some time to rest before I do Book Club Part 2. Book Club Part 2 might be Monday night, so keep an eye out for that. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Remember to drink water, stretch, and take care of yourselves. I'm also super excited for the Prism customizable model. I'll be getting it this weekend, and I'm so excited to be customizing it and hopefully being able to share it with you guys very soon. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you guys on Sunday to watch the corresponding anime episodes. Excuse me, my gosh. To watch the corresponding anime episodes, and I hope I see you guys there. Until next time!